Welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I'm starting a little vlog. So I'm doing a little project. I received a promotional offer from Amazon to try Kindle Unlimited for free. And when I first got my Kindle a couple of years ago, I got like a free month trial with the purchase of the Kindle, and I never used anything from it. There was nothing that I was like super interested that was on there. I basically just use Libby to read books on my Kindle, and that's probably what I'm going to continue to do in the future. But there are some books that I can't get on Libby, particularly from smaller indie authors that often have their books free on Kindle Unlimited. So I thought I would try this out for a month, try out some new to me authors, because there's a lot of authors that I would like to read, especially people like that are Christian fantasy that I've been wanting to try, and some other authors that I've wanted to try that are smaller authors. And because I can't get their books through Libby, I would have to purchase their books. And it's not that I don't want to support them as authors, I certainly do, but I don't even know if I jive with their writing style or the way that they craft characters or plots or worlds. And so I didn't want to buy brand new books and then be like, I don't like these. I just wasted 20 bucks on a book that I couldn't even finish, or, whatever. So Kindle Unlimited seemed like the perfect opportunity to try out some of those books. So I'm going to share with you some of the books that I have on my Kindle right now from Kindle Unlimited. And I have only started one so far, and I'll let you know what that is when I'm scrolling through and showing you. Okay, so this is what I have, and some of these are not indie authors. I don't think that this one is. This is the one that I've started, which is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. It's the first in a mystery. I don't know if it's also a thriller, but I was reading a thriller from Libby that I got, which is so not like me, but I was kind of in the mood for one, and I DNF'd it about halfway through. So I'm kind of still in that vibe right now, which is why that's the one that I'm reading. I got the next few volumes of Emma M. Lyon. I've only read volume 1, but they're really short, so I want to try those. I have the other Bennett sister on here, which I'm assuming is on Kindle Unlimited due to its popularity with the movie or series. I can't remember which that just came out. But I've never read it. I don't usually love fiction that is, kind of based on another fictional work, unless it's like a fairy tale retelling, and then sometimes I do, but I'm gonna give it a try because lots of people who feel the same way as me actually really love it. So then I also have, how cute is this? The Healing Hippo of Hinode Park. So this is a Japanese healing fiction, and I love the little hippo. He's so cute. I got What Comes of Attending the Commoner's Ball, which I don't know if that's a fantasy or mystery. I loved the cover, so I went for that. I got Keeper of Enchanted Rooms, which I think might be maybe a historical fiction. Don't know much about that either, but some of these I had saved on Storygraph to my digital TBR a while ago, so I just looked and saw what was available. Here's some of the indie fantasy that I was interested in. Nightweaver by R.M. Gray, Flame Theory by CFE Black, Spectrum Blade by Beth Alvarez. This one I'm really excited about because it's Legend of Zelda inspired, which I really love. I've got a couple of T. Kingfisher on here because I'm also kind of feeling a little bit of a horror itch lately. So What Stalks the Deep is the third in the Sworn Soldier series. I've read the first two, really loved the first one. The second one was meh. Snake Eater, I don't know. That one looks like it's not for me, but we'll see. Fellowship of Bakers and Magic is I think a cozy fantasy. At least it seems like it. I love the cover. We have Mammoth by Brian McBride, which I think is a fantasy. I love that it looks like a raven, but then you look a little closer and it's like a cave opening with these people in the ocean. I just think that that's a really cool cover. Twice Sold Tales by Shotana Havig. And actually, she is on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel, a booktube channel, and is an author. And this just sounds like a cozy bookshop kind of thing. So interested in that. Been very interested in, oh my gosh, I can't read her last name. Victoria something. Victoria McCombs. Okay. Chantel loves her and has talked about her. So I've wanted to try her for a while, so now I can. This is the first in duology. Then I also have Dragon Haven by Robin Hobb, which is the second in the Rain Wilds Chronicles, which I could get off of Libby easily, but I didn't because it's also on Kindle Unlimited, and since that's what I'm doing, there we go. I have a couple others that I'm like looking at that I could add on here, but I do have quite a bit so far. So I'm mostly probably going to be dipping in and out, kind of trying chapters here and there, and then basically continuing to read with like whatever sticks, I guess. I am enjoying Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone so far. I'm 10% of the way through. What chapter am I on? Not very far, like probably chapter 4. So not very far at all. The first chapter is about like his brother killing someone, and now we're on the stepsister section, and so it kind of goes through different members of his family, but I think that they are connected. He's got his wife, his father, his mother, stepbrother, aunt, wife, sister-in-law, stepfather, again, brother. It just keeps going through me. Yeah, this is like the first in a series. It's the Ernest Cunningham mystery series. I think the other one has something to do with a train in the title. Anyways, this is what I'm working with. And we'll just kind of see. I also I don't have a signal back here right now. But I did add like a book of poetry on here, and I can't remember what it's called. I'll update you on that later. And then also Saints and Monsters, which is, I think, a Christian indie fantasy. If not, it's a clean indie fantasy. So yeah, I'm just like really looking forward to trying out some new authors, particularly the fantasy authors. I'm most excited about those. But yeah, it's kind of a conglomeration of random things right now. There, it is time for an update because it is now Sunday, July 12th, I think, if I'm remembering the date correctly. It is a Sunday. I know what day of the week it is for sure. I think it's July 12th, so it's been a couple of weeks since I started this kind of Kindle Unlimited challenge and trying to read things. So I have tried several things, and I want to just give you an overview of what I have been reading and what my thoughts are. So first of all, I did read Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. This was so much fun, you guys. I loved it so much. I was really surprised because I'm not really a mystery girly, but I have been reading very diversely on my Kindle because I don't have to wait for it. I can just ditch it immediately if I don't like it. You know, it's just kind of a fun little trial. And so this was really, really fun. The narrator of the story is someone named Ernest Cunningham, who writes books for authors, like, 10 tips to make your mystery novel succeed or whatever. And he is on a family trip, and as it turns out, someone is murdered on this trip. And so he's trying to figure out and get to the bottom. It's very like closed door in this like snowed in ski lodge. I don't know if closed doors are right. Like it's kind of like locked door? Is that what you call it? I don't know. I'm so like not in the mystery realm. Closed door is like a romance term. So it doesn't mean the same thing. It's also closed door though, so that's cool too, I guess. But it's just really fun because he breaks the fourth wall all the time talking to the reader, and it's just really fun. He'll say things like, the phone rang and we jumped because of course we did. This is a mystery novel. And if you look at the number of this chapter, you'll realize someone else is about to die. And so it's like things like that that are just really fun. I enjoyed it. I have several others that I've tried. I have quite a few I haven't even tried yet. I tried Mammoth by Brian McBride. This I thought was an indie fantasy, but it's kind of more of an adventure story. So I got 2 chapters in, 4% of the way through before I decided to quit this one because I really, really, really didn't like it, unfortunately. I really didn't like the writing style, it just wasn't clicking with me, and the setting itself felt kind of strange, where they live in this town where the rich people live up on this ridge or whatever, and the poor people live down here, and they have like different names for each other. Like the poor people are called jailbirds, but they also call themselves jailbirds, which I feel like if there's a derogatory nickname aimed at you, you're probably not going to also call yourself that. But it was really weird that like this town, it felt like the Sharks and the Jets, or the Greasers and the Socias, the way that they're like behaving towards each other. But like the adults are acting like this too. It's not just the teenagers. There's like one girl and like 3 or 4 boys or something, which kind of reminded me of like the friend group from It by Stephen King. But I had read some reviews when I was trying to decide if I wanted to quit this to see if it got better. And like, apparently this author majorly ripped off the TV show Outer Banks, and the plot of this novel is like play for play. And even like he basically changed people's names, but even the people's ethnicities, because there's like a Hispanic girl and there's a black guy and there's some white guys, and like all of them have the exact same ethnicity and personality types, and it's like he only changed the names of things, which I'm like, that's problematic if it's true. I've never watched Outer Banks, but apparently that's a thing. I also, very shortly in first chapter, there was a major typo that I was just like, how did no one catch this? I know this is independently published, but did you not have beta readers or hire an editor that would have caught this? It talks about him slamming on the brakes of his car, and they spelled it Breaks. I'm like, that's not the right brakes. You're thinking Brakes. And then also they're describing a girl. It says, there was Maya Morales, a fiery Latina with a heart bigger than her dark curly hair. And I was like, that is so cheesy, the way that that's written. So just really was not liking the writing style, wasn't working for me, so I ditched that one super fast. Another one that I DNF'd is Walk a Little Slower by Tanner Olson, which is a collection of poetry. I liked the cover of it, and so I was like, oh, cool. It was like recommended based on some of the other books that I was downloading, so I assumed it was probably Christian. I just really, I'm always like kind of confused by it, because it just feels like the poems themselves read like kind of like lists, and they just were not working for me. Here's an example. This poem is called Lean In, and it says, life is messy. Remember, cake for breakfast. What I'll do today. A different kind of amazing grace. Let it shine. A poem about the things I love. And we can still, you and I, the hope of forever. 1,000 strong. This and that. You alone. I want to write something. Confession. Gather together. Through today and into tomorrow. Silence. Camphor tree. And I'm just kind of like, what? Like, a list of random things does not a poem make for me. I guess I shouldn't say that, because poetry is subjective and an expression of art. And when you go with free verse poetry, there are no rules. You just write kind of how you want to write. And that's what he's doing. But I feel like I need my poetry to be prettier. And I really like poetry that like focuses on nature, which is a personal preference, obviously. But I just was kind of like, I don't even know what half of these things have to do with each other. And so I read a few pages and was just like, this is just not for me. I also have a book. I'm not sure if I'm DNFing it or not. So it's called Spectrum Blade by Beth Alvarez. And she wrote this saying that she wanted the feeling of Breath of the Wild in a fantasy novel. And I applaud that 100% as a Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom girly who has been playing Zelda games for like my whole life. I love it. I feel like the writing style of this book is good. Like, I like it. But because she wanted it to feel so much like Zelda, it's extremely reminiscent of every Zelda game that I've ever played. And so it feels very predictable, and I don't love it. Like, the fact that there is a blood moon and it breaks this protection enchantment that's over the village that like our hero lives in. And these monsters start materializing. and they're described and they sound exactly like bokoblins. And so I'm kind of like, okay, I don't know if I want to read something that's like straight up is more than a nod to Zelda. It is like, feels like a carbon copy at the point where I am. Maybe it doesn't continue to feel that way because this is a 6-book series, and that's another reason why I'm not sure I want to continue it. I don't know if I want to commit to a 6-book series. I don't know, but the writing itself was actually really good in that one. Don't have a single complaint about that, unlike some of the other ones that I have here that just the writing isn't working for me. I'm also in the middle of Saints and Monsters by Ellen McGinty. I have very mixed feelings on this one. I am 63% of the way through, and every time I pick it up, I'm tempted to DNF it. The premise of the story is what is really keeping me going, because it is about a girl named Mira, who is the second princess of this kingdom that's very matriarchal. It's the queen that has all the power. Their mother has passed away, and her older sister is getting ready for a coronation. And in order to become queen, you have to offer yourself to these dragons. And if they accept you, they share their magic with you, and then you can use that magic to protect the kingdom, all that kind of stuff. But there's a chance that they will look at you and not find you worthy, and then you die. Mira is, like I said, she is the second princess, so she's not the one offering herself to these dragons, which, by the way, are not actually dragons. They're sea serpents. Mira is actually disabled, which is something that I think is so cool that I don't see very often in fantasy novels, that she actually, she has problems with her spine and has to wear a brace. So I'm assuming it's supposed to be like scoliosis. And so I really love Mira's character. She's strong, she's brave, she's loyal, she has a very strong moral compass, and she's willing to do what others are not willing to do if it's like the right thing and is going to protect her family and those she loves and protect her kingdom. And so I just love that about her. She struggles a lot with a feeling of unworthiness because she's been told she would never be worthy to present herself to the dragons because of her physical deformity, and that's seen as a character flaw, her having this outward disability. And so I can see where the story is going to go in terms of her discovering that a person's worth has so much more to do with what's inside them than the way that they look or their physical limitations. And I think that that is fabulous. I love it. However, there are things about this that I just really don't like. Some things about the writing style that I don't like. It's very descriptive. And normally I'm a big fan of extremely descriptive prose, but it feels a little forced to me. It feels like there are times where there are, like, it feels like every sentence has multiple adjectives to try to describe things, but it doesn't feel like it's beautifully written. It feels like it's trying to be very descriptive to the point where it is occasionally distracting. So a really good example of this is when it talks about her older sister and it says like a smile quirked her pink lips. And I was like, aren't everyone's lips pink? You know, like there are certain things, and that's like, I can't tell if I'm being nitpicky because I could give you so many examples of quotes in this book of things that I'm just like, why is this here? Another sentence that I really didn't like. Sharp cheekbones and long cut eyes give her a fierce impression, but the smooth chestnut skin and gentle shape of her lips suggest a kindness hidden beneath that imposing exterior. And I was just kind of like, how does like chestnut skin and the shape of someone's lips indicate kindness? Because this person that they're talking about is an assassin, and she's not smiling. She's an imposing and threatening character. So she's not smiling. So it's literally describing the shape of her lips and talking about how that suggests kindness. And I was like, I was just like confused. In addition, I will never forget that one of the two love interests in this story, because there's more than one, has green eyes that look like the summer forest with light filtering through the trees, because it's mentioned so many times. And so, yeah, I am finding also the romance element to be very shallow and very YA feeling. It's very physical attraction based, and I don't feel any of the chemistry or any of the actual connection that's happening between these characters. It feels like all that it talks about is her noticing like how strong their arms are, or how broad their shoulders are, or how beautiful their eyes are, or things like that. And so it makes it feel just very shallow. It's not a terrible book. I just am giving examples of how the descriptive writing feels clunky to me, but I can't really even fully articulate why it's not working for me, because I love descriptive writing, but it just feels more forced than natural, and I don't know if that's just me. I might just be being nitpicky about it. But the real thing that is bothering me about this is that it's a romantasy, and I'm just not a romantasy person. Like, I like fantasy, but I don't love like a strong romance component, and there is a strong romance component. However, I have not DNF'd it because I really like the disability rep. I really like the main character, and we're getting into high stakes. And I'm finding that aspect to be interesting, especially because we're starting to get into some political maneuvering with some of these neighboring kingdoms and some of the consequences of some of the things that have happened in the story, and how that's playing out on a grander scale than just her family, her kingdom, things that relate directly to her. And so there are things about it that I'm interested in. So I haven't DNF'd it yet, but I'm really close. Shockingly, there was another book that I finished, and it was the second volume of Emma M. Lyon, and I loved it. Which is so funny because I read the first one and I'm like, this is fine. It's kind of cute. Like, it's bookish, it's cozy, so I could see why people like it, but I don't understand why people love it. And I had been told that I should at least read through volume 2 before I make a full decision, and they're really short, so I read volume 2, and I had a really good time with it. It was really witty. There's more connections happening between more of the characters. There's more funny banter. There's some situations that Emma finds herself in that are really interesting or really funny, and I love the way that she looks at the world. So I enjoyed this a lot more. Still not a perfect 5-star read. Still don't feel like this is going to be like favorite of all time, want to reread it a bunch of times. Not sure I feel that way, but I did really like it. So I will probably continue on because I can access all the volumes of Emma M. Lyon on Kindle Unlimited. So I might continue on with that. I have quite a few others that I have not picked up at all that I do want to try. So I'm going to look into that as far as like, especially some of like the indie fantasy, some of the stuff that I have on here, like I have T. Kingfisher on here, a few other things that I'm like, I can totally get this on Libby. So it's no loss if I don't get to those. I am going to pick up Dragon Haven soon too, though, because I am reading that with Whitney this month, and that's the second book of the Rain Wilds Chronicles. So I am picking that up actually tomorrow. So that will be something that I'm reading, but I know that it won't be the only thing that I'm reading. So I'm just trying to decide if I want to finish with Saints and Monsters or not. I may finish it. I'll come back and update you and let you know whether or not I finished it or decided to move on to something else that I have on here. But that's my update for now. Hello friends, it is time for a final update. I meant to do more updates, honestly, on how it was going with Kindle Unlimited, and just time didn't work for me to sit down and film as much as I wanted to, but I wanted to give you a brief overview of the books that I ended up picking up in the second part of this month. So I actually have quite a few books here that I was working on. So I did decide to DNF both Spectrum Blade and Saints and Monsters. I wasn't sure if I was going to, because I didn't hate either of them, even though I was kind of like on the fence with Saints and Monsters and how I felt. But I had so many other books that were sitting here on my Kindle that I'm like, you know what? no, I'm going to try other things. So I ended up ditching those. The next book that I picked up was Dragonhaven by Robin Hobb, and I did finish this. But let me tell you, I was so disappointed by it. I really didn't enjoy it for the most part. There were moments I enjoyed, but I don't know. I thought, like, is this just disappointing just because this is a Robin Hobb book? And the answer to that is no, because I do have a higher expectation for Robin Hobb, but this was not disappointing just because it was Hobb. This was disappointing because it's just not well written. It's just not, unfortunately. It's extremely repetitive. People talk in circles. There are times where she's going over a plot point or how someone's thinking, and she will say the same thing 3 different ways in one paragraph. There are times where we will switch a viewpoint to someone else and they will just say the same thing about the scene that just happened from someone else's viewpoint, but they have nothing that they're adding to it, not even their thoughts, not anything. And so it just felt like it was really bloated, in addition to having way too much sexual content. Oh, gosh. If this hadn't been Robin Hobb, if this hadn't been the middle of a series, I would have DNF'd it, and I almost did several times. I skipped over just so many scenes, but it just felt like there was such a focus on like physical attraction and forbidden relationships, or people wanting to sleep with each other, or people noticing other people are sleeping together, or people thinking about like, oh, I shouldn't sleep with this person. And just there was just like way too much. There was a scene towards the end where someone kind of talks to some of the people and saying like, listen, if this is how you're going to behave, there are consequences to your actions and you should think about that. And so like that kind of balanced it a little bit, but it just was annoying. I didn't feel like there was any really further character development. There was almost no plot. There was actually very little lore as well, which was disappointing because that's what I was hoping for from this series. But they have where the book ends, I don't want to be spoilery, where the book ends, the characters are now in a situation and location that will lend itself to more lore and more exploration and more interest, I think, in book 3. So I am continuing on with the series, but if I don't like book 3, I'm not going to read book 4. I'm just going to read a synopsis and skip right to Fitz. I think that Dragonhaven is actually one of my worst books of the year so far. After that, I ended up picking up Snake Eater by T. Kingfisher and was really enjoying it. So this is a story of a young girl who is kind of fleeing an abusive relationship, and also her mother has just died, and so she goes to stay with her aunt to try to get away from everything in Arizona. When she shows up at where her aunt is from, she's never been there before. She just has her address on a postcard. She shows up there. It's this tiny town that has like 20 people that lives there or something, and finds out her aunt has passed away, and she's able to just like move into her aunt's house. And I really liked the dynamic between her and the townspeople. There's some creepy, weird stuff happening because it's T. Kingfisher. There's this interesting conversation because there's a priest in this town, but there's also these like Navajo spirits and gods. And so there's kind of interesting crossovers and conversations happening there. She has a dog. The main character has a dog, and it's a lab named Copper. And every description of Copper is like just so perfectly dog. It's like T. Kingfisher really understands dogs. It's like amazing. And I was really enjoying it. It was really good. Then it started getting kind of weird sexually, and I was just like, I'm not doing this. So I quit it like 75% of the way through. It was just making me uncomfortable in a way that it wasn't like oh, I can skip this scene. I was like, I don't like where this is going. So I decided not to finish it, which was sad because I was actually really liking it. Then I moved on to Quarter Labyrinth by Victoria McCombs, which is another YA romantasy from a Christian author, although this one doesn't really feel very Christian to me in comparison to Saints and Monsters. There was nothing there. I did finish this book. There was nothing there that had any sort of spirituality in it at all. It just felt like a clean YA fantasy, which is fine. So we follow this young girl named Ren, who her father is a famous fleet owner of these ships, really wealthy, really well known, but he has hidden her and her mother away on this island because he's afraid if his enemies knew that they existed and knew where they were, they would come after them. And so no one even knows that she is the daughter of this guy. And so he said when she turns 16, he's going to come back for her, and then it will be safe for him to take her onto her ship and train her to be like the next captain and all that stuff. So it's been 2 years since they received a letter, and on her 16th birthday, he doesn't show. They live in this world where there's something called the Quarter Labyrinth. Every 4 years, this magical labyrinth appears, and people have to first find the location of the labyrinth. If you're wealthy, you can buy clues and be able to find it. She's not. And then also you can pay for a key to get in. Otherwise, you have to find the entrance. And so there's this competition. And if you reach the center of the labyrinth, which changes every single year, it shifts and changes because it's magical. If you find the center, there's an amazing prize that usually has to do with wealth or status. And this particular year, the prize is becoming the captain of the fleet of ships that her father is supposedly captain of. So that's her motivation to get into this labyrinth. She takes her childhood best friend who's in love with her, and they get in and are trying to find their way through the labyrinth. It definitely has very Hunger Games vibes to it, which was really fun. The world building within the labyrinth was really cool. There are these people who live in there who are called stone gods. And throughout the book, there are illustrations of them as well as like a little backstory. That did not go well on Kindle because the type of the story, it was like not like a regular chapter. It was like a page that was like had fancy script because it was supposed to be excerpts from a book about the stone gods. And so it was harder to read, but some of them, literally the picture and I don't have it on my Kindle anymore, but the picture and like the type, the whole page of like the story would literally be like this little corner, and there was no way to enlarge it. So some of them I wasn't able to see or read at all. That did not work in the Kindle edition very much at all. There was also some other things. This was something that was really frustrating to me because it also happened in a couple of the other books that I told you about. Almost like basically every indie book that I read, it felt like there were issues with the editing for the most part. Like there would be typos and stuff like that, that I know it's an indie author, but I thought that indie authors still paid an editor. And there were things that were glaringly obvious. I'm not talking about like little typos or things here and there. I'm talking things in Quarter Labyrinth, where in the middle of a sentence, like a scene, the entire story is written in first person past tense. There's one paragraph where we switch to present tense, only for that paragraph. And it was like jolting. There's another scene where someone brushes Ren's hair, the main character's hair, back from her face. And it said, he brushed her hair back from her face. The rest of the book, except for that one sentence, is in first person. So it should have been, he brushed my hair back from my face. And so there were things that I'm like, why, if you paid an editor, you need to get your money back, because this is not great. So there were things that I was just kind of like, eh. I felt like the pacing of Quarter Labyrinth was great. I felt like the world building was really interesting, but I felt like a lot of the character development was not very good. And part of that is because it's fast paced. So you don't really get to know people very much. And then she has like this love triangle between her childhood best friend who's in love with her and this other guy who she doesn't know at all. And it's sheerly physical attraction. And even once we get to like more scenes with them later, they don't really actually know each other at all. And so it's like, I could not invest. I did not care. But I am more of a character reader, and some people are more a plot reader, so that's not going to bother a lot of people. But I just thought it was like, okay, this world's interesting, but I don't care about these people. After that, I tried to pick up some other things. But also I was just like, I don't think I want to read another YA fantasy right now because I read so many of them. So I decided to switch away from that and started looking at comics and graphic novels. So they did have some of the Cat Cafe graphic novels on there, which are super cute. Well, they're not graphic novels, they're comics. Each is just like a little comic strip. I actually didn't get to that one. I ended up instead picking up Almost American Girl by Robin Hobb, which is very close to Robin Hobb now that I think about it. But it's Robin Ha. She's Korean, and she moved to the United States when she was 14 because her mother fell in love with a guy who ended up living in Alabama, a Korean American. Well, actually, I guess he was Korean, but then he moved to America. And so she moved to Alabama, which in a very not diverse area, knowing no English, having no support, really struggling to acclimate. And so it's her memoir of her story, and it was really well done. This is also YA. It's not middle grade, even though it's a graphic novel. But I really, really liked it. I have a book by her. Well, it's a cookbook called Cook Korean that I got for Christmas last year. And it is a cookbook, but it has comics in it as well, and really just adorable and lovely illustrations throughout. So I was really excited that this was on Kindle Unlimited because my library does not have this graphic novel, nor could I get it on Libby. So I was really excited to get it on Kindle Unlimited and really enjoyed it. Thought it was really well done. So now we are at the place where I'm ending this vlog. I had a couple other books that I am considering picking up because I still do have about a week left of my Kindle Unlimited trial when I'm filming this, but I wanted to wrap up this vlog because a lot of these books will then be in my wrap up. So I wanted to make sure that I was leaving enough space to be able to talk about these before they were just totally reviewed in my wrap up. So I decided I was going to continue on with the next Emma M. Lyon book because, again, I need a break from YA fantasy, and that was a lot of what I loaded up on my Kindle. And all of them ended up, except for Spectrum Blade, all of them ended up being heavily romantasy, which is just very much not my jam, unfortunately. So I guess we're ending with the question here: is Kindle Unlimited worth it? I wanted to try the free trial, see is it worth the price? And I know that this has been an extremely DNF heavy vlog, but I would say that Kindle Unlimited is worth it. In the past, when I looked at some of the books that were available on Kindle Unlimited, and I mean like way past, like years and years and years ago, a lot of it was just like smutty romances and like cozy mysteries were like the primary things, which are not genres that I read. And so in the past, I've never really used Kindle Unlimited if I've had a free trial. I am so happy that I got this trial to try out some authors and some people that I had had on my radar for a while, but couldn't get through my library, couldn't get through Libby, and didn't want to pay the money for a book if I wasn't sure, is this author's style gonna jive with me? And so as a result, I also feel like as my daughter is now in the YA age range in terms of what she wants to read, I have found some authors that I feel like will be good fits for her. I definitely feel like she would really enjoy Spectrum Blade. She would probably like Saints and Monsters. I think she would love Quarter Labyrinth. And so I'm finding some authors that are more trustworthy in terms of them being cleaner authors, because YA is a wide range, and it feels like a lot of YAs that are coming out more recently are much more directed to the upper end, like the college end of YA. And so it has more sexual content in it, and that's not something I'm okay with my 14-year-old reading. So it's really nice to have found some new authors for that. So that's one reason I'm really glad. Another reason is because I did DNF so many of these books. The amazing thing about that is I didn't pay for these books. A Kindle Unlimited, like paying for that per month, even if you're not having a free trial, you're still paying far less. So then if you do find authors where you're like, I like this writing style, or I like this author, or I like this series, then you can go on and purchase the book and support these indie authors in that way. Plus, I was just amazed at how many different things there were there. Like I had poetry on here, I had graphic novels, I had fantasy, I had mystery, I had a horror, I had some cozy books. I really had just like a little bit of everything on here. And I could have also read, historical fiction. There were just a lot of things, and there were even some popular books that were on there. So if your library is limited and you want to read books like The Other Bennett Sister, which is really, really popular right now because of the adaptation, that was on Kindle Unlimited, and you can try that. Some Robin Hobb books are on Kindle Unlimited, and so it's like if your library either doesn't have access to those books or the wait is forever long, You don't have to wait on Kindle Unlimited. There is a limit of how many books you can have on your Kindle per month. I don't know how many that is. I just know that I hit it. So I think it's maybe like a dozen or something like that. And then once you return books back to Kindle Unlimited, then you can get more. So it's really awesome. It's a great resource. And I think it is totally worth the price, especially if there's a lot of authors that you want to check out or you read really quickly, or you're primarily a Kindle reader. If your library is limited, there are so many reasons that Kindle Unlimited could be a really good option for you. And it was far more diverse, and I found far more things that I was interested in reading than I thought. In fact, when I checked out some of these books, then there's recommendations of like other people who read this book, and so there were a few that I found as a result of that, which I thought was really great. So I do still have some books on my Kindle that I might get to before my trial is completely up, but I'm really happy that I tried this out. I hope you have enjoyed this vlog, enjoyed seeing my thoughts on some of these books, and hopefully this will help you decide if maybe Kindle Unlimited is right for you. A lot of times especially if you're a Prime member, they will give you free trials to Kindle Unlimited kind of frequently. So there's a chance for you to try out for free. But even if you were to try it out for 1 month and just dip your toes in and out, maybe even do like trying chapters of different books or whatever, which is what I did with a lot of these. When I wasn't sure what I wanted to read, I would read a few pages or read a chapter or two and then just decide what I wanted to settle on. So yeah, I'm really glad I tried this. So if you've read any of these books, love to hear from you in the comments down below. If there are books that you've really enjoyed that are on Kindle Unlimited, feel free to leave those as well. So that way either I can check them out or other people can if they're looking into Kindle Unlimited as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.